On today's edition of Food, Nutrition, and Wellness, we're going to talk about physical activity and moving more at work. Hi, my name is Dan Remley, and I have a special guest today, Alisha Barton from Miami County. She's a Family and Consumer Sciences Extension Educator.
Hi, Dan.
Good afternoon, Alisha. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming in. So you wrote an article, a blog about moving more at work.
Okay.
And you said in your blog that sitting is the new smoking. So what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that like you said, sitting is the new smoking. Having reduced physical activity, we know, can lead to a variety of health problems, health issues. We know that there's an increased risk of cardiovascular disease with sitting too long. Well, also there's an increased risk for type 2 diabetes when we sit too long. And we know that people that are less active have an increased risk of having high blood pressure. So there's lots of problems with sitting and just being sedentary, having sedentary behavior.
Okay. Well, I know I certainly sit a lot at work, and there's some things that I could do just to be more active.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sit so much. And
so are you still keeping your New Year's resolution this year?
You remind me what that was.
Yeah, exactly. So I wrote this because my New Year's resolution was to just move more, to just be more active. And I started to think about what are some ways that I can do that. You know, and you brought up sitting is the new smoking. I sit for a lot of hours every day at my job, and that's the problem. You know, if I'm trying to be more active and I'm spending 8 hours of my day sitting in a desk chair, that's a big chunk of my time. It's difficult for me to be physically active. So I was thinking, how can I move more when I'm at work? And so that's kind of where these ideas or these just doing some research came from. For me, you know, I don't want these increased health risks. They are going to affect my life. They're going to affect my productivity at work. You know, the amount of days that I call in sick, lots of things. So I really was wanting to reduce, just move more at work. So there are a lot of things that we can do. I would say the number one tip that I have for people would be make sure it's fun. You know, what are some things that you like to do? Think about what they are and try to include them at work.
Sure.
I take a bar class a couple days a week. I really enjoy bar, and so I brought a couple of the workout, just the objects I use at bar, some light weights and a ball, and use those at work. Do some of the moves that I'm familiar with and incorporate those into what I'm doing every day already. So, I mean, what is something that you like to do?
Well, I play tennis and I play pickleball. That might be kind of hard to maybe bring in a racket.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can hit a ball against the wall.
I'm sure
what would your neighbor think?
I'm not sure what they would think. Probably not be too happy about that. But maybe I could bring in a ball and just juggle it, or stand up and stand up and juggle and not sit so much. But that's the good advice.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up standing up. You know, standing desks are becoming really popular.
I have one, and I find myself though still succumbing to gravity, and have to remind myself to raise that desk and to stand more.
Yeah. Well, it's habit. It's a habit. You know, if you're used to sitting, you get a standing desk. Sometimes I found when I first had mine, I kind of forgot that it was even there. So, and if it is new, they do recommend that you're only, that you start using it kind of gradually, that you're not just, pop it up and standing all the time, that you kind of gradually or increase your use with it. So, but you set a timer, say today I'm going to use my desk for, 10 minutes every hour or 15 minutes every hour, and set a timer to remind you to put your desk up and stand up. So, or set a rule, every time I'm checking my emails or answering texts, I'm going to have my desk up.
So you mentioned setting a timer. How often should we get up and move? Is there any recommendations that you know about? Or
yeah, well, it's about 2 hours and 30 minutes a week is what's recommended for the average adult, which is about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So pretty easy. You think that might sound like a lot, but that's really one TV show or 1 or 2 movies a week, and you've met your physical activity. So, but because it is, only half an hour every day, experts have also said, it doesn't have to be a full 30 minutes. We could break it into several 10-minute time slots, and so that makes work the perfect time to start taking advantage of your time there and just getting a few 10 minutes in here and there.
What about, we've talked about standing meetings. Have you ever participated in a standing
Yes,
meeting? Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so our office this year, that was one of the goals that we set, is we're going to have our meetings are going to be standing. We're going to just meet in a common area and bring all our stuff and have a standing meeting. They say, and we found this to be true, that they are more efficient and they're shorter. So we're still maybe working on the efficiency piece, but they are definitely shorter. And who does not want shorter meetings?
Right.
I would love less meetings.
Right.
But that's not always doable. So if I can't have less meetings, I want the meetings that I'm going to be shorter. So yeah, that's a great way to involve your office. You know, not just you standing, but involve your office and get them involved too. And you know, hey, let's do these standing meetings and see how that goes.
Other ideas for people at work that they can become more active, or have you heard any other ideas or suggestions? I know that in some workplaces, maybe it's not as encouraged to stand, or have you ever heard of situations like that? Or
I'm not familiar with that, but I can imagine that some office environments do not, are not so that their standing desks will always work. So something else you could do, it doesn't have to necessarily be in your office. It's just move more at work. So you could take a walk around your office. You know, the other day a coworker came to me and said, "Can I visit with you for a minute? She just needed to talk to me about something really quick." And so I said, "Yeah, let's take a lap." We work in a courthouse. I said, "Let's take a lap around the courthouse." We ended up taking 3 laps around the courthouse to have our conversation. Just a quick little, just a tiny office matter that didn't need a lot of, time, but we needed to just have a quick discussion, make a quick decision. So we just took a lap around the courthouse, and it worked well. So, if involve other people in your office, but this movement doesn't just have to be in your office. Take a lap around your office. You also could consider your daily habits. When you're in the office, when you're sending an email, instead of sending that email to a coworker, could you walk to their desk and talk to them?
Sure. So be real creative in terms of how you get that physical activity.
Right. Yeah, just think about your habits. There's a mail slot in our office. It's right by my desk, and so I noticed a couple times it was really easy for me just to drop a letter in there or a package, but the mailbox is right across the street from my office. I can see it from my window. So I noticed, or I thought, hey, why, instead of dropping this mail here, why don't I walk it to the mailbox myself? It got me a few extra steps. It got me some sunshine, some fresh air, and just got me moving. So it took about 8 to 10 minutes to walk that letter there and back.
I've seen a lot of employees use pedometers. Do you recommend pedometers and those types of devices?
Yeah, those are popular. A lot of people have Fitbits now as their watch, and those certainly can help you track your steps. And you can set them to remind you, hey, you need to stand. So maybe you could use that as your timer to remind you to take a lap around the office, or to remind you to put your standing desk up. Those can be great tools to help you remember.
I also know at OSU, a lot of times there'll be incentive programs through our insurance and our health plans that we can become involved with, and we try to, I know here at South Centers we had a team on the Step Challenge, and we tried to walk to, where did we try to walk to? Where was it, Purdue or somewhere, that we kept track of our steps, and that was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, that is fun. In those office challenges, again, that's a great way to involve other people, and my guess is that there's somebody in your office that has a similar goal. Maybe it's not specifically to move more at work, but maybe they're trying to lose weight, or they're trying to improve a health condition, or they're just looking to increase physical activity or exercise more. So my guess is there's probably somebody in your office with a similar goal. So involving your office is going to help them meet that goal. It's going to build office unity. It's going to create some just great memories. A lot of times, you mentioned a program, they're incentivized. Those incentives can be really motivating. So look for a program through your employer, your health plan. Those can be very motivating.
Okay.
And having a friend is encouraging too, right? Somebody to say, hey, let's go for a walk, or we're trying to do this together, can be very motivating.
I use hiking sticks too, and I think it helps my balance and my joints and that type of thing. Is that something that any of your employees that you've worked with use or seen those?
I haven't seen those. You bring those to the office with you?
I haven't, but I just thought about it. It's kind of nice to have.
Yeah, you could bring them with your tennis racket. You could take them outside.
Sure. So besides work, are there other places that we could try to work in physical activity? I'm just thinking about a recent volleyball tournament I was at with my daughter. Sure did a lot of sitting there.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, maybe I need to go stand on the wall, or maybe walk a few times around the volleyball courts to.
Yeah, and you can. And it feels a little bit awkward because, we are such a sitting culture. Everywhere we go, there's a chair provided. I was on the radio talking about this a couple days ago. I walked in and they said, do you want a chair? And I said, well, actually, I think I'll stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, that is so common for us. There's chairs in the waiting room. We're always offering, there's always a place to sit. So it does feel a little bit awkward, to be the one walking laps or standing to the side of the bleachers when everyone else is sitting down.
Because everybody looks at you, right?
Right. But I mean, be the one to, take the initiative, and maybe someone will join you if not, that you're making a good choice for yourself. So.
What about our kids? They're so, I know I struggle with this being a dad. My kids, they sit a lot, they play video games. What are some things we can do as parents to get our kids, especially our families, to be more active?
Well, it's healthy habits definitely start young, and you as a parent are a great role model for that. So
thank you.
Just think about, how do you motivate your kids, and how do you set an example for that? Involve your kids, take them with you when you're going on a run. My kids got electric scooters for Christmas, and so when I go for a run, I'll tell them, I'll chase you on your scooter. If you come with me, and I'll chase you on your scooter. I mean, I'm getting a little bit more exercise than them, but we're still setting that we're still creating that habit, setting an expectation, and just encouraging them to incorporate that physical activity into their day. So I would, as a parent, I would start with myself, and and realize that I'm setting that, I'm setting an example.
I just want to talk a little bit more about video games, because this is my son. He's plays a lot of video games, and he's sitting a lot. And I know you have some expertise on this too. Are there some guidelines for parents in terms of video games? And I mean, it really ties in with the physical activity thing, because I know there's a lot of concern about video games and the I'm not saying kids shouldn't play video games, but it's the length of time, isn't it, that they sit and they play video games? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, we should put a limit, on the amount of video games, any screen time that our kids are getting. It's a really good idea to put a limit on that screen time.
Any screen time. So it's not just video games, it's TVs, it's whatever.
Their phones, their tablets, even their computers. Anything with a screen, it should be included in that screen time limit.
And besides lack of physical activity, there's also some other issues and problems with too much screen time, right? In terms of the mental development and that type of thing. Can you talk a little bit about? Yeah, it's going to affect their sleep. It's going to affect sleep. Right. Yeah, their social skills. Lots of things come into play with their, with the increased screen time. So just setting a limit as a parent. I was talking with an educator actually from Ross County, so pretty close to this area, and she was talking about when her kids would watch TV on the commercials, she would make them, get up and do some activity, that's a good idea.
Yeah, just do some chores or just do some activity on the commercial. So encouraging your kids to take those breaks so that it's not a continual amount of screen time. I mean, it's the same as for us as adults. If you're standing at your computer for hours and hours working, it decreases your productivity, and it also it makes you tired. It makes your energy starts to decrease, and it's the same for our kids. They're just going to feel more sluggish the longer they sit. So encouraging them to get up and move is going to help them.
Yeah, I've heard that blue lights that are emitted from TVs and screens can really have an impact on sleep, and I think it's important too as a parent to take away those devices, especially at night, right, from our kids, so they're not on those, and they don't have that light glaring on them, and that's. And what's the recommendation for sleep? Do you have any idea what that is?
Depends on the age, but for kids, it's 9 to 11 hours. But I was just in a training today, and they were talking about the lack of sleep with kids, and our taking melatonin and other things. Our bodies naturally make melatonin when it's dark and we're still and it's quiet. Our bodies naturally, our brains naturally make that melatonin, and so that's one of the reasons we want to take screens out of bedrooms and not give them to our kids so long before they go to, or too close to when they go to bed, because it's decreasing their body's ability to make that, or it's not giving their body the opportunity to make melatonin because they're not quiet, dark, still.
So they have to be off the screens before they go to bed.
Yeah, we want to decrease
What's the length of time?
I believe it's 2 hours.
Oh, 2 hours before bedtime, and they should be off their screens. Okay, great. Well, what about this time of year? It's not the nicest outside. You know, it's kind of, March is kind of bleak and it's muddy and rainy. We've had a lot of rain. What are some things that we can do indoors? I mean, it's nice to go out for walks and hikes and things like that, but are there some things that just some ideas that we can do inside to get physical activity as opposed to outside this time of year?
Yeah. You know, contact your local Y or your local rec. There's lots of great sports team or lots of great teams that, you know, activities going on. I'm from the Dayton area, and there's a place called Hobart Arena, and they let us walk in the top of their arena every day. So I've gone for a run a couple times there in the top of the arena. They open it for the public to walk and run or whatever. So, you know, look around. There may be some opportunities like that. You know, exercise videos. I did an exercise video last night with my daughters. So just, you know, you can bring things into you.
What kind of exercise video was it?
It was a bar video.
Okay.
BARRE.
Okay. And that's like kind of like yoga. You stretch a lot.
Right,
And
yeah.
Okay. And there's some weights involved there too. Yeah, I'm curious about weights too. You mentioned early on in the program you did mention bringing in weights to your office. Are there recommendations for using like weights and like how many times per week? I think I read like 2 or 3 times per week. Is that about what they recommend for different weights?
Yeah, you want to incorporate some strength training.
Some strength training, and the advantage of strength training is that it builds your muscle mass, and it's different than aerobic, right? But it's maybe shorter duration, but it's a different type of exercise. So people, they don't have to lift barbells, right? But there's some other simple things that
would be hard.
Yeah.
That would be hard to take to your office, right? Yeah, you know, and you can look up online too, just some really quick, easy videos. My bar instructor did a 10-minute workout video that I do a couple times a week at work. I mean, you can just Google search, you know, online 10-minute stretching videos, and that's the thing too. You don't have to be sweating in your office. If I'm dressed for work, I don't want to be sweating in my office. You know, I just want to move more and kind of, you know, energize my body, wake up, and just burn a few extra calories. So even just doing some light stretching or taking a quick walk, like I said earlier, is going to give you the benefits.
I mean, I know I'm not very flexible. Are there some stretches that you might recommend, or why is stretching important, especially at work or just for anybody in general? Flexibility,
like you just said.
Prevent injury.
Yeah,
perhaps,
prevent injury, flexibility.
Okay. And so there's that's in addition to walking and lifting weights, the stretching is also important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, that's a lot to think about. I guess I probably have to rethink what my New Year's resolutions were. I think I was trying to stand more.
Remember them and then rethink them.
Okay, so you have any advice on some goal setting that maybe we should think about?
Start small. It doesn't have to be large. You know, just say I'm gonna, like I said, put your standing desk up 5 minutes every day. Or if you don't have a standing desk, I'm going to, you know, stand up while I check my emails, or I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk on my lunch break. You know, just start small. And again, like I said at the very beginning, I think that one of the most important things is to incorporate an element that you enjoy. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. So incorporate something fun that you enjoy, that you look forward to. So maybe walking with a friend, or a stretching video that you enjoy, or, you know, walking outside to the mailbox when it's sunny outside. Do something, you know, to make sure that you enjoy it and that you look forward to it. Because if you're looking forward to it, you're more likely to keep that habit up.
Makes a lot of sense to me. So I know in the article you mentioned biking to work.
Yes.
And that'd be nice if we could do that, but that's probably not realistic for some people.
I could. I'm close enough that I could, but it's difficult in work clothes. But if you have the opportunity, you know, that's a great way to get some more physical activity.
And I would think for kids, just being able to walk to school, that's another way that they could get some physical activity in. But I know that some parents might be concerned about traffic and barking dogs and you know, stranger danger and all that.
And crossing highways.
Crossing highways.
My kids have to cross a highway if they were to walk to school.
That's a neat program, and I know there is a Safe Routes to School program out there that's communities can get involved with it, try to think about ways to increase walking and biking to work or school. But probably not easy for everybody, but that would be nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, we've talked a lot about physical activity and aerobic and anaerobic and stretching. have you anything else on physical activity that you can think of that we haven't covered in terms of walking, or excuse me, workplace, just different ways in the workplace we can be more active? And
well, you mentioned walking to work, which may not always be a possibility, or riding your bike to work, which may not always be a possibility, but one possibility I do have would be to park my car a little bit further away from my office than instead of taking that spot right up front in the middle, which is usually hard to get anyway. I can park a little bit further away.
Like even at Walmart, you circle around, you're trying to find the perfect spot, real close. It's like, why don't we just walk? It's only about 50 yards.
And the time that you could have.
But it's kind of like a game, right? You want to get. It's sort of like you want to find that perfect parking spot. And it's kind of silly though. Is this?
What's funny is that you'll spend 5 minutes circling the parking lot looking for a good spot when it probably would have taken you 2 minutes to walk in from the really far spot.
Sure.
And you would have gotten a little bit of physical activity.
Well, sometimes I'll park in the parking garage and I'll forget where I park, so I get a lot of physical activity that way, right? So
searching for your car.
Right.
Yeah, but park a little bit further away. And walk. Take that. That's going to have you right there off the bat, starting and ending your day with a little bit more physical activity. Your work day, anyway. So that's a great way to just park a little further than you normally do. You have a huge parking lot here. You can park all the way down there at that corner and start your day with a pretty decent walk into work.
Well, we mentioned hiking a little bit. We do have a lot of trails around here in Southern Ohio, and a lot of programs that nature programs, and so I think that's another great way for people around here to take advantage of those opportunities and parks and things like that to try to get outside and get outside. There are benefits of actually being outside as well, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the benefits of being outside? Can you talk a little bit more about that? Improves your mood and stress, right?
Decreased risk of depression and anxiety from being outside. Yeah, improves your mood.
And so that's something we should think about too in the workplace, trying to get outside and
absolutely get
an office with a window. Maybe some of us probably don't even have windows in our offices.
Yeah, that sunshine is definitely nice. But like I said, if you can't move in your office, maybe you're in a common area where you're not going to, you don't feel comfortable, doing a little short stretching routine with your colleagues around, just go for a walk around your office. Go, maybe if you're close to a park, take a little walk on your.
I would think that would improve our moods and our productivity and that type of thing, just like standing or as opposed to sitting where you just kind of get groggy and that type of thing.
And there is research that proves that those standing desks do improve productivity and energy levels at work. So, and that's, I don't know, sometimes after, I've been at work all morning. I'm not always in my office all day from 9 to 5. But if I have a day where I'm in my office a little bit more than usual, I notice sometimes after I eat lunch, I start to feel like really, like you want to lay down and take a nap.
Yes.
So that's a really good time. If maybe that's your goal, is just that, is
take a nap.
No, that time of day when I feel like I want to take a nap, that's when I'm going to stop and go for a walk. Maybe that could be your goal. Instead of just pushing through that or grabbing another cup of coffee, but I'm going to stop and take a walk around the building 2 or 3 times.
Sometimes if I know I have a stressful meeting coming up, I'll go take a walk. It kind of clears my head a little bit too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or sometimes afterwards when I'm stressed.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
To just, speaking of napping at work, are there some advantages?
That would be nice, right?
I know, I've heard in like France and other countries, European countries, they actually encourage that, don't they? They take a short little cap nap, and now I'm not encouraging. I'm saying that should be a policy at Ohio State, but there's some benefit to.
I'm not opposed to Ohio State being a policy.
Like a quick 10-minute nap, and just to kind of become re-energized and that type of thing. So.
Right. Yeah, I saw this really cool thing for a nap bed that slides under your desk. You can slide it in and out. That would be really great. But you can get the same benefits usually from moving too. So just kind of taking that break and some jobs I would think are really hard to get physical. I'm just thinking like a truck driver, and I know people that the truck drivers really have problems with kidneys because they sit so much. So I imagine it's probably in some occupations it's really hard to be active, and you probably have to be pretty creative, I would imagine, to figure out So what are some things truck drivers could do? Because we are talking more from an office situation. So let's think of some things truck drivers could do to increase their activity.
They maybe, I don't know, stop at a rest station every hour or something like that and just walk around, I would think. But, I mean, it might be hard. I did see a show about a truck driver. He had weights in his truck, and he really tried to take care of his body so that, he wouldn't have those problems later on. But I think there's probably a lot of jobs like that just wouldn't allow people to be more
have to be a little bit more creative. Yeah, they could probably always dance a little bit while they were driving. But they're stopping on a regular basis, making sure when they stop that they were taking advantage of the time they have to stretch and maybe, do a little quick aerobic activity.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities for employees to be healthy and to be active, and it sounds like the idea is that we should set goals, small goals, and that are reasonable for us to try out. But it doesn't have to be. It could be as simple as standing up, moving around for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes at a time. But to be creative and try to space out those physical activities throughout the day.
Right. And I encourage if there's an office that's thinking I want to incorporate more activity and I'm not sure how, to reach out, like you said, and look for one of those incentive programs, maybe through a wellness plan or through their HR department. Reach out and try to find, or even just look online. Live Healthy, Live Well offers a spring challenge that encourages people to. I think this year it's on. I can't remember, but last year it was moving more. So, but there's always a physical activity incorporated into that's run in several counties in Ohio. So that would be a really good challenge to take as an office.
How does one sign up for a program like that? The Live Healthy, Live Well challenge?
Live Healthy, Live Well.OSU. They can go on there and find their county on there. But that would be a great. Our county participates in that every year, and so all the county employees are invited to join that activity. So, it's not incentivized, but it is, I can check in on you as my coworker, as my, fellow county employee, and say, how's it going for you? And we could, walk together and things like that. So that would be a great place to start if you're thinking, we want to do this as an office, or I want some support in this. And this goal is to reach out and see what kind of programs you have that you could bring into your office and have your coworkers join you.
Okay. And are there other websites that we could visit for ideas besides the Live Healthy, Live Well challenge? I'm aware, like the Centers for Disease Control, they might have some things.
Yeah, absolutely. There was some on there. There's short videos on YouTube. There's some great resources on. Let me borrow this really quick. Sorry. On Live Healthy, Live Well, there's a couple blogs. There's one called, I can't find it. Staying Active at Work. There's some links there's some exercises. You can do some lunging exercises, some stretching exercises, some squats, that's the thing too, is you don't necessarily need a routine to follow. Do what you do at the gym or what you enjoy doing. If you do lunges at the gym, do 10 lunges and then do 10 squats, do 10 push-ups. If you want to get on the floor, I don't know what your work situation is, but do the things that you do at the gym. Just do less of them for less time.
I'm what they call an active couch potato, so I'm not active during the day, but I go play tennis. But I definitely need to break my routine up a little bit at work. So
okay, I'll help you use your phone to set a timer to remind you to get on your.
Okay, so we're all finished for today, and we look forward to seeing you next month on Food, Nutrition, and Wellness.
Thanks, Dan.